right, so in this video, let's go over the new meeting options that are available within Teams meetings. So what I want to do is first just click anywhere in my Teams calendar app because I want to set up a meeting, and I'm just going to call this demo for today. Now, in order to create the meeting, I actually have to invite at least one person. So because this is a demo, I'm inviting myself. Very simple. Now, once I do that, notice it says send here. All right, I'm going to leave everything else blank because again, I'm focused here just on getting to those meeting options. So I'm going to click send. It's going to take me back to my calendar and I'm just going to click one time on that meeting I created. Now from here, I'm going to click edit. And now notice I have some more options here across the top, including the meeting options link. So I'm going to go ahead and click on meeting options. And it's just going to take a moment for those options to appear. All right, so let's just go through these. There's a number. If you've been following me for a while, you know that this has grown in what is available for us as meeting organizers. So first things first, who can bypass the lobby? I will need to make sure I set that. I can do this once I start the meeting as well. But I like to be prepared in advance, so I try to remember to do this prior to starting the meeting. Actually, I try to do this right after I create the meeting. It just makes my day a little bit easier and a little bit less stressful, and we all need that, right? All right, so I need to decide who is going to be stopped in a lobby and who is not. If everyone can come in at the same time, I don't need a lobby, I'm going to choose everyone. All right, now, we have a new feature in Microsoft Teams meetings, which allows for co-organizers. I'm going to come back to that, but for now, co-organizers have the same rights as me, the creator and organizer of this meeting. So if you're going to have co-organizers, you're going to want to select only me and co-organizers if you need a lobby. If you don't need a lobby, again, click on everyone. So I'm going to click only me and co-organizers just for this demonstration. Now, depending on your organization, you may be able to toggle on and off whether your callers can bypass the lobby. Now, in this case, my organization has not allowed us to change this, so callers will be stopped at the lobby, but I can choose whether I want a very pleasant announcement during the meeting if someone does call in on their phone. I'm going to turn that off because I find it distracting. All right, the next one is now I get to choose my co-organizer. Now, in order to choose this, I actually need to have invited somebody to the meeting. Once they accept the invitation, this will change. So let's take a look at that really quickly. All right, so I went ahead and just adjusted and invited a colleague to the meeting just so that you could see that now this box has changed. I can search for participants. Now, guests cannot be co-organizers. They have to be in your organization. So when I click on here, I'm not going to find anybody because I invited guests to the meeting. So again, your participants that you invite who you wish to make a co-organizer, they have to have the same email address as you. Then their names will appear once they've accepted the meeting, and you can simply click on as many as you want to make your co-organizers. Again, co-organizers have all the same rights that you do as the person who created the meeting. They can start the meeting, they can control the full meeting, they can do everything that you are doing right now when you create the meeting. All right, so now I have my co-organizers, but I need to choose who are my presenters. Remember, there are 3 different quote unquote levels of participants in a Teams meeting. So first is the organizer, you, the person creating the meeting who has all of the rights of this meeting. Your co-organizers are the same as you, so the organizer and co-organizer role we can consider as one role. There are participants in the meeting. So you have presenters and attendees. So presenters, they can present in your meeting. They can share screen. They can mute and unmute other people in the meeting. They can remove others from the meeting. They don't have all of the rights that the organizer or co-organizers have, but they do have some rights and some abilities. So you'll need to decide, what type of meeting is this? If you're having a meeting with very young students, for example, you may not wish to have those very young students. You might not want them to have too many rights and abilities. So what we want to do is, again, who are your meeting attendees? Who's going to be there? So then you need to decide who can present. Essentially, if they're not a co-organizer, then they are going to be a presenter, unless you choose only me and co-organizers. And then everybody else in the meeting becomes an attendee. Now, attendees have no rights whatsoever. So they can view everything, they can hear everything. If you enable chat, they can participate in chat. So they are able to fully participate in the meeting, but they cannot do things like mute one another. They cannot remove one another from the meeting. So again, know who you're inviting and know who your presenters are. We have a new feature, manage what attendees see. Again, this only affects attendees. So if everyone in your meeting is a presenter or an organizer, co-organizer, then this will not have any bearing on anybody. So what we want to do, I'm going to come back up to who can present. So again, if I choose everyone, that means everyone is a presenter. We have no attendees. So everyone has the right to mute one another, to remove one another from the meeting, etc. I can choose people in my organization and guests. Again, if you're working with young students and this is a concern, your students probably have the same email address as you. So this is still going to give your students the rights of a presenter. You can choose specific people. So if you are working with your learners and you need a few of your students to do a presentation, then you can choose those specific people to be presenters. Everyone else who is not an organizer or co-organizer becomes an attendee. You can, of course, change this in the meeting. I'm always an advocate for coming prepared. So I'm going to try to do as much of this as I can prior to the meeting, knowing that I can adjust this on the fly. I'm going to leave this with only me and co-organizers. That's going to make everybody else in the meeting an attendee. So I can manage what my attendees will see. So they're only going to see shared content and people that I pin to the screen. Now, next, I need to decide, should my attendees be able to use their microphone and camera? Again, this only affects attendees. Doesn't affect presenters or organizers or co-organizers. And I can shut this off so that they are muted and their cameras cannot turn on. Again, depends on who is in the meeting with you and the purpose of your meeting. I can also select to begin the recording automatically. When an organizer, co-organizer, or presenter joins the meeting, as soon as that meeting is started, the recording starts. I personally do not do this, and that's simply because I like to play music prior to starting. And if that music is copyrighted, then it is recorded, and then I have to go edit the video before I can post it online. It creates a hassle for me. So I do not turn on record automatically. But again, depending on your preferences and your needs, you could turn it on. And again, as soon as an organizer, co-organizer, or presenter starts the meeting, the recording starts as well. I can choose to allow meeting chat. It can be enabled before, during, and after the meeting. Now, guests will not be able to access the chat until the meeting starts, but all of the people in my organization, whether they are students, presenters, organizers, they will all be able to access this chat before, during, and after. I can disable it completely. No chat exists at all. Or I can simply turn the chat on once the meeting starts. It's not available before, and it won't be available to add to it after. Everyone who has access to the meeting will be able to see the chat after the meeting ends, but they wouldn't be able to add to the chat. So again, depending on your purpose for the meeting and who's there, you'll need to decide what your chat should or should not look like. I can choose to allow reactions. So remember, now in the web-based and the desktop Teams experience, you have reactions. So you can choose whether or not you want to allow those. Now, if you are using a cart service for captions, you can provide those here. Now, something that is new is to enable a Q&A and discussion in a regular Teams meeting. So what exactly does that mean? Let's take a look. So essentially, this Q&A and discussion option that has just recently rolled out allows you to use that same live Q&A and discussion that's available in a Teams live meeting in a standard regular Teams meeting. So it's a little bit different. This allows for a moderated Q&A and discussion. It allows, just like in the Teams live event Q&A, the messages can be private, can be posted anonymously, and can be shared out depending on, can be shared out to everybody in the meeting depending on the moderator. So if you have ever done a Teams live meeting, a Teams live event, and you have participated in the Q&A and discussion that goes on in the Teams live event, that is now available inside a regular Teams meeting. So I can enable that type of Q&A or not. So if the regular Teams chat is just fine for your meeting, then you don't need to enable a Q&A and discussion. If you're having a larger meeting, or if this is a lecture and you have some additional support people who are coming in, maybe some TAs, or maybe the IT support group is going to be in answering questions, this might be a great way to moderate that discussion and Q&A, just as if this were a Teams live meeting. I'm going to click Save, and now my meeting options are set. Of course, once the meeting starts, I know that I can go into my meeting options there and I can change these as needed. So hopefully that helps and you're able to kind of see some of the new features in those Teams meeting options. Thank you so much again for joining today. As promised, my contact information is up on the screen. If you do find yourself in need of support, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help in whatever way you need. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And again, thank you. Cheers.